So first up this evening, we've got Sarah Jane Oliver. Okay, Sarah Jane is the curriculum leader for English Home and First Additional Language in Cura's IEB schools. Having been in education for over 20 years, she has extensive experience in a variety of schooling systems and has held numerous management positions over the years. In addition to this, she owns her own company and is the author of a number of textbooks. In reality, though, she is basically just a teacher, and here to share all of her insights with us this evening.
All right, good evening, everyone. So normally when I'm asked for a bio, the only thing I send is, I'm a teacher, because basically that's what I am. And I think I want to explain the story of how I got to being basically just a teacher. So I fell into teaching accidentally, completely. I needed a job and a school needed a teacher, and they went, could you come? And I was like, sure. No worries. I know nothing except from when I was in school. And so a 21-year-old walked into a class with 19-year-olds, and I was like, this is going to go super well. So the first school I worked in was a government school, very big school. I had 45 kids in a class. I had, this reveals my age, standard grade and higher grade classes. Because you're also young, what that means is the curriculum was scaffolded. And so standard grade learners had less of an academic focus. The curriculum was scaled accordingly. But the kind of average in my standard grade classes was like 25%. And it was soul destroying. It was really hard. And then you had your higher grade classes where you had obviously far more academically privileged kids, for lack of a better word. So I fell into teaching completely accidentally. I arrived on the first day. I was supposed to be shadowing a teacher. The math teacher walked up to me and said, you best be a bitch. They're going to eat you alive if you don't. And I was like, I don't think that's sage advice. And the teacher I was supposed to shadow wasn't feeling well, so she wasn't there for a week. And I just walked into a class and kind of went, I'm just going to do what my teachers did and hope for the very best. And I think that's what a lot of us do, right? We go, I had a really good teacher, so I'm just going to do that and stick to that. And I hope that you've all had good teachers, because if you haven't, then your frame of reference is a little bit skewed. So I'm in this huge government school, I'm 21, I'm floundering, swimming, doing my best. And I wasn't really accepting of the fact that I was a teacher, because I was like, I'm just doing this to pay off my student loan. I'll be done shortly, and then I'm just going to do something else. And so I never actually said, I'm a teacher. When I was asked what I do, I said, I teach. I was like, I'm the verb, I'm not the noun. I'm an English teacher, by the way. And when I was 23, the head said to me, we're looking for a head of discipline for grade 8. Could you do it? I was like, sure. Because this is my attitude. Say yes to everything, especially when you're a new teacher. Say yes to everything. And as Richard Branson says, you can figure it out later. So I was like, discipline head for 360 grade 8s? Not a problem. I'll just read the policies and follow the rules. It can't be that hard. And then I had cops on speed dial, and we were dealing with gang violence, and it was the steepest learning curve of my life and one of the best ones. And I said yes, even though I had no idea what I was going to be doing. Because that's how you learn. A couple of years later, I was in a private school, quite a posh private school, by Limpopo standards. And I was asked to be head of department. I was 25. There were 3 other people in the English department. I was the youngest by 40 years. And I was also the head of visual arts, which I had done as a subject in school and knew nothing about in the IB system. And I said yes. Because what else are you going to do, right? If you're given an opportunity and you don't say yes, you're going to flounder. Did I admit at that point, so now I'm an HOD, well done me. I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I had no idea. And I said yes to everything, which meant I was a hockey coach, athletics coach, I ran the drama club, I did debating, I did everything under the sun. Did I admit at that point that I was a teacher? No, I teach. I'm the verb, I'm not the noun. And I think it was a real struggle for me. But, okay, let's do a quick survey. How many of you, when you said you wanted to be a teacher, were faced with some kind of ridicule or question? Okay. And you get the whole, it's a 9-to-5 job. Or, was there nothing else you could do? Or, but why? Okay, so I had that in the back of my head. And as much as I learned to say yes to everything, when I got to be an HOD, I also learned to say no. But because I had done everything, I could choose what I said no to. And so that's what you've got to do. Try everything, because then you'll know what the things are that you like. And when you are an active, participating staff member, you get to choose. Because your head will come to you and say, you're overworked, you're overloaded, I don't want you to burn out. What do you want to do? And you go, cool, thanks, I'll do this. Okay, so say yes to everything and then learn to say no. But the point I'm getting to with this, I wouldn't say I was a teacher thing. I went to my 10-year school reunion many moons ago, sadly. And I was talking to, when you go to a school reunion, you will realize that you're still friends with the people who you were friends with for a reason. And there'll be one of two people like, oh yeah, I missed you and I'm so glad to reconnect. And most of them are like, no, I'm not your friend. I remember quite clearly. And I was standing with a friend of mine and some people from school. And there was one person who was she's not a very good person, let's put it that way. And so my friend said, she's like, oh, what do you do? So my friend said, oh, I'm a game ranger. And she said, oh, so you range, do you? And I was like, okay. And then she said to me, what do you do? And so I said, I teach. Not, I'm a teacher, but I teach. And so she did go, oh, you teach, do you? Which I thought was a bit redundant, but anyway. So she said, but what do you teach? I said, I teach English, I teach it in high school. And she went, oh, so you're like basically just a teacher then? And I was like, yeah, I am actually just a teacher. And it was hard for me because what was implicit in her statement was, but you could have been more, or you should have been more. And I think that you probably get that quite a lot, not only from strangers, sort of strangers from 10 years ago from high school, but from your family as well. And so even though in that moment when I was standing there, I was like, I'm the HOD, I'm still a baby, essentially. I have overcome ageism. I have run a really effective department. My debating team was won the Mayor's Cup. My hockey team beat the Afrikaans school. That's always a big thing in English schools, I mean, in that year, there was a learner who had committed suicide in our school and we had gone through. And I stood there and I went, oh, I'm just a teacher. And that was my biggest mistake. Because what did I do? I took it on. I took it on completely. Oh, I'm just a teacher. I need to be more. So fast forward 2 years later, I moved to Joburg, working in an Orgel school, really wonderful school with the worst head I've ever experienced in my entire life. You also have to learn from the people what not to do, who you don't want to be, and she was one of those people. And I thought to myself, I'm so unhappy in this space, not with the kids. I love my class. I love teaching. I hate this space because I'm so oppressed. I was a bit dramatic at the time. And so I started my own company. I was like, I need to move out of teaching. I'm not rich, sadly, so I have to do two things at once, and I can reach the point where I can just run my company by myself. I'm going to be a business owner, and then I will be someone. And so I built the company, worked really hard, worked stupid hours, was doing quite well, and then this was a 3-term school, and I thought to myself, this is the tipping point where I can either go full-time into my company or I can stay in education. I mean, my company is sort of education linked, but not quite. So I thought, I'm going to spend the August holiday, which is like 3.5 weeks in the 3-term school, and I'm going to run my company as if it were my everyday job. And I sat behind my desk for 3.5 weeks, and I missed the classroom so much. And at the end of those 3.5 weeks, I realized I can run the company, but I actually don't want to. I actually want to be in the classroom. I want to be with the kids. I want to teach because I am a teacher. It took me 10 years to admit that I am a teacher. And I think for me, if I had come to that realization a lot sooner, I would probably be a lot further. And I think I'm pretty far, all things considered. So in terms of my bio, what I do for my job, I'm a curriculum lead for Kuro. So I oversee English in Kuro's IB schools. I have 40 schools in my portfolio. But what am I doing? I'm teaching teachers. I'm teaching managers how to manage. I'm teaching leaders how to lead. I'm developing a curriculum so that teachers can teach. So what am I? I'm basically just a teacher. And I think for me, if there's one thing you have to know as a young teacher, is that you get to embrace it. You don't have to be ashamed of being a teacher. I spent way too long doing that for no reason whatsoever. And I think also you don't have to be defensive about it. Because I think that's what happens. Because we go, you're where you are because of a teacher, which is true, but we don't have to do that. We actually don't have to. And you guys are all quite young. When your friends have kids, they will suddenly go, oh, but you're a teacher. Like, you know stuff. Okay, and so the narrative will change in the course of your life. But I think for me, it was that, why did it take me so long, so long, to actually really embrace what I do? And I love what I do. I love my job every single day. Even when it's really hard, I love it. And I spent too long not loving it because of what other people thought. And so you really have to embrace the fact that you love what you do and that you are a teacher and you don't just teach. So just a quick, if you ever come to summer training, please do it summer training. Quick fire round, things you need to know. You need to learn from other people, okay? So you learn from the best and you learn from the worst. Everyone has something to teach you. It's not always going to be an easy lesson, but make sure you do it. Learn where to draw the line. Because you are, as I said today in a meeting, your friend list is full. You don't have to be friends with the kids, okay? You are the teacher, maintain the line. Because you have to make the hard calls sometimes and they will respect you for that. Keep on learning. We live in the AI era. I mean, I learn every day. I don't know about you guys, but I can't keep up with AI. It feels like I've just learned something and then there's 17 new platforms by midnight. So if you're not au fait with AI, go onto platforms like Magic School, like Khan Go, look at the teacher tools out there, familiarize yourself with what's going on in the world because you are going to have to integrate it in everything you do. And then also use AI as a tool, not as a crutch. So AI can do things for you, but don't let it do things for you at the expense of your own learning. AI can set a test for you, cool. But have you learned anything by letting AI set your test? No, you haven't. Okay, so make sure that you are integrating AI in a way that's not actually going to lead to you not learning things that you really need to know. Follow people on social media. Do it. I don't know, people are like, oh, social media is so bad for you. Cool, fine. But don't follow like the Kardashians. Follow education people. So great podcasts, listen to. And so unfortunately, the majority of content out there that is rated, so to speak, is American or British. There's very few places or pages that are not, you can't go, what are the 10 best Instagram pages for teachers? They're all American. But that's fine, because quite often, the very good Americans will have links to global people. So podcasts you want to follow, Cult of Pedagogy, definitely, very good. Brave New Teaching, 10-minute teaching, 10-minute podcast, we have 10 minutes, we can do it. But the thing is that I'm going to go back to what I was saying where I went, okay, cool, I don't know what I'm doing as a teacher. I'm just going to do what my teachers did. But that was already, I was out of school for what, 3 years then? 4 years. A lot changes in 4 years. I mean, if you think now where you are versus how teachers taught 5 years ago, I mean, I've been in the game for 20 years. The teacher I was 20 years ago, not the same, because the world isn't the same. So you've got to stay abreast of things. Follow Edutopia on Instagram. Fabulous. Lots of links to places to go to. I'm sure you all do follow Edutopia anyway. They're like the benchmark. But the thing is that when you go onto social media, you can see what can be done, and you realize that the challenges across the globe are quite similar. I would rather be a teacher in South Africa than be a teacher in America. I don't have to moonlight in a diner in the holidays. And so sometimes we forget what privilege we have. So yes, those are my quick fire round tips. But basically, I think there's an immense privilege for those of us who are more experienced, shall we say, to stand in a room of younger teachers, because we were once there, and we know what it's like, and it can be a little bit daunting, and it can be amazing and wonderful, and lean into the amazing and wonderful. And if I can just, my last point, I'm very, very brand proud. I love the brand I work for. And our focus is training and development and team building and collaboration. And if you are working in an education space where you are not being afforded the opportunity to collaborate with other people, and you are not being led and not being guided, you're not in the right space. And that's kind of where I want to leave it. And I just want to remind you that when people ask you what do you do at your reunion, you go, basically, I'm just a teacher, and all will be well. And that's what I've got to say.